We are the tribe that they cannot see. We live on an industrial reservation. We are the Halluci Nation. We have been called the Indians. We have been called Native American. We have been called hostile. We have been called pagan. We have been called militant. We have been called many names. We are the Halluci Nation.
Whenever I heard a lot of record with beats and there was an interlude where there was words, it was usually a skit, right, on hip-hop records. And you have interludes on this record, and they're not skits.
It was part of the process, was creating a story for this album. It's something we worked really hard at, creating a storyline for the album. And it went through a number of different phases, from superheroes to bandits to the hallucination. Where it ended up was because of what John gave us, that he had given us.
The poetry off the top, right?
Yeah, and that really ended up choosing the direction of the story of the album. The whole thing kind of happened over about a year's time.
Okay,
from talking about it, actually probably more than a year, from initially meeting him, talking about the idea, and then him sending us a couple different poems. And actually the poem that he recorded, the first poem that he recorded wasn't the hallucination.
No.
There was another poem that he wrote specifically for us called The Tribe Called Red, that we had started working with even. But we got him into a studio in San Francisco to record, because he wasn't at a point where he was traveling. Right. But when we got the recordings, we had this Tribe Called Red poem off the back, and he's like, well, I threw a little something else in there on the end, and that was the hallucination.
So great.
Yeah.
Getting the former Mos Def. Yasiin Bey, talk about that.
Oh, that was on Narcy.
Yeah?
That was on Narcy. Yeah, we were in, I believe we were in Montreal for studio. We were doing some studio work up there, working on what ended up becoming the Suplex EP. And then he was in town, and then he hooked it up, and then we met up in a clothing store, and then we just talked for a little while, and then that kind of planted the seed for working on it.
When we met at the shop, he was like, "Yo, we got like some studio time if you want to come kick it," and I was like, "Yeah, of course." Yeah. So we went and kicked it, and we really hit it off, and we showing each other YouTube videos, showing each other like stuff we're working on. He said he wanted that Stadium Powwow beat, and
well, first we had to talk about he wanted electric powwow drum.
And you have to talk him out of that?
Yeah. It was like, come on, man, this track's like 5 years old now. And
we got this.
We are the tribe that they cannot see. We live on an industrial reservation. We are the Halluci Nation. We have been called the Indians. We have been called Native American. We have been called hostile. We have been called pagan. We have been called militant. We have been called many names. We are the Halluci Nation. We are the human beings. The callers of names cannot see us, but we can see them. We are the Halluci.